If your New Year's resolution is to lose a little weight, I am here to help you with that. I'm Amber and I lost 156 pounds in 14 months without weight loss products. And I'm here to walk you through how I did it one step at a time between now and January the 2nd, and then we're going to all do this together. If you're ready to know all the details right now, you can go back and watch my previous videos. I've been posting since November of 2023, so there's a lot of videos on the subject. Or you can just start right here. I've got all these videos put in a playlist, and every day I'm going to add to that playlist. Today, I want to talk about the food. What if I told you that you can eat whatever you want to eat and still lose the weight? You probably would have a hard time wrapping your head around that because we were trained to believe that you have to be on a specific diet. When I first started on my weight loss journey, I was eating low carb. And I had lost about 60 pounds or so eating low carb. And I kept thinking, I can't wait till I get off of this diet and then I can go back to eating what I want to eat. And one day it hit me. I had to remind myself that that can't happen this time, that I can never eat the way that I was eating before. And then I started to feel really depressed about it. Now, for the entire first few months of my weight loss journey, I was hangry, okay? I was making everybody around me miserable because I was miserable, because I was eating food that didn't make me happy. One day I decided that I wanted to try low calorie. Now I signed up for one of those apps. The one I signed up on was called Do Fasting. And there are other ones out there. There's one called Lose It. There's MyFitnessPal, and there's others. Those are the two that I'm more familiar with. And so you go in there and you put in all your stats, and this is based on your gender, your current weight, your goal weight, your age, even your ethnicity, I believe. There are so many factors to consider. And then they want to know your fitness, like how active are you? And when you put all that in, it'll tell you how many calories that you need to be eating in a day. You know, I was allowed like 1,900 calories and I was getting full before I ever made it to 1,900 calories. So I realized that I could have things that I wanted to have. I was eating all these little frozen dinners because it was easy for me to keep up with the calorie count because they were on the box. And then I even realized that I don't have to be afraid of sugar anymore. I was eating Little Debbie cakes, but I was keeping up with my calories. If I had a Little Debbie cake, I wrote down 240 calories and put it in my app. And I made sure that every day I did not go over those calories. That right there was a game changer for me. And it changed my personality. It made me happy with my journey all of a sudden. Everybody around me started noticing how much happier that I was getting. And when you're miserable and you're on a diet and you're making yourself miserable because you're depriving yourself, that also creates cortisol and something called ghrelin. Those are stress hormones, and they will actually cause you to be hungrier, and they'll actually cause you to gain weight. So once you get rid of all that stress and you can sit back and relax and be satisfied with your food choices, the weight will come off. So I started realizing here I was eating Little Debbie cakes and eating frozen pizzas and eating frozen lasagnas, and I was losing weight. Then it got to the point where any chance that I had to splurge, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was so happy with my food choices. I was fine being on this weight loss journey. I wasn't on a diet per se. I was learning how to eat. I was learning to satisfy my cravings, eat what I wanted to eat, make myself happy with my food choices, but the weight was coming off because I was doing it in moderation. There might have been times that I was craving a hamburger, and so I would start to fix my hamburger and go to put a piece of cheese on there and be like, that's 100 calories. I can live without that. And then I go to put my ketchup on there and I'm like, that's another 60 calories. I can live without that. And before I realized it, I had all the good components of the hamburger that satisfied my craving for that hamburger without all the extra calories. You start to think about food differently. Once I learned how to use a food scale, I started weighing everything out. I was making everything from scratch. I use a lot of potatoes. I use a lot of rice, and potatoes are loaded with vitamins. They may have carbohydrates, but I don't count carbs. I don't count sugar. I don't even count protein. I count calories. But now I did learn about towards the end of my weight loss journey that the lack of protein in my diet was causing my hair to fall out. It didn't grow back in until I started upping my protein. And I also learned that when I upped my protein, it seemed like my weight even came off a little faster and I felt fuller and more satisfied. So I wasn't watching protein, but I think I would if I were you. And also don't slack on the fiber. If you can find a way to throw some fiber in there, You're going to need it. I ended up realizing that the things that I ate before, I started to not like those things anymore. And I started to get a whole new appreciation for food and how it tastes. I actually learned while I was losing weight that I had dieting restrictions, and I didn't think that I did before. But I started to realize that once I gave up the ketchup and tomato products, my acid reflux started to disappear. And I even noticed that when I ate like the fried foods and the heavy fat foods like pork, that I would gain a lot in inflammation. My scale would go up. And once I would get off of that stuff, the scale would drastically drop back down. And it was because those foods was causing me to gain inflammation. Look, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them, but I hope this helps. It does not have to torture you. This is something that you're going to plan to do forever, but you need to be happy with your food choices. So maybe this will get you a little excited about it. I'll be back tomorrow for the next step.